Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Talking Nerdy Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Travis.
And I like the pauses. And today, we're going to be...
You never know who goes first or second or third.
Today we're going to be...
Never mind, continue.
Okay.
Should we start over?
No, this is fine. I like the energy. Today we're going to be discussing ghost shows.
Ghosts.
Yeah. Like, we had our podcast a while back about ghost stories and, like, local stories and, like, things that we may or may not have run into ourselves. Mm-hmm. But we haven't ever, like, talked about, like, the many TV shows that there are.
That we watch.
And that's just it. We've all watched these shows for years and years, or, like, this genre. But we've never, like, really broken down and, like, had a discussion as to, like, why?
So, and just to clarify, we're talking like ghost shows, like actual, like these are real ghosts and these are real stories, not like Ghost Whisperer.
No. Right. So not fiction. Like, we're talking about ghost adventures, Buzzfeed,
like
Unsolved,
documentary style,
Paranormal Survivor.
Yeah.
When it's framed as the truth.
Whatever
Yes.
that good old boy redneck ghost hunter show was.
Redneck Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, that's
Good, love it.
that's all we know. And then Canadian ghost show.
Yes.
We rarely remember the actual names of these shows, but like for years and years and years, you know, we have just like put them on for entertainment.
I feel like they all sort of start to blur together over time because
They
we
really
watch
do.
so many so often.
That too. So like question number 1, like, why? Why are we entertained?
That's very philosophical.
Plain and simple.
Why?
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like if nothing else.
Exactly.
They're-
What do y'all find entertaining about them specifically?
The
Well-
seriousness of
The seriousness
the people on the
definitely
show.
can appeal.
How serious they take themselves and what they're doing. Specifically
Zach
for Ghost
Bagans.
Adventures. Yeah, Zach Bagans. Just how...
Get
Fight
in
me.
bed with me. Feel these vibrations.
Like, they're so serious, it's comical.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess that's really what it boils down to, is we like to laugh at these shows.
This is true.
That's okay. I will say that for most like Ghost Hunter, Ghost Adventure style shows, absolutely, I do laugh at those. But when I was growing up, there was a show that used to come on. I used to watch all the time, called Scariest Places on Earth. I don't think that it's still running because I think it came on the old like ABC Family Channel, which is now Freeform. But it was just kind of. It wasn't so much let's interact with ghosts, but let's kind of document these horrifying locations, talk about the history.
Right.
And like when I was younger, that's what made me want to travel and get out and like see places. I wanted to go to these places.
For sure.
Well, there's definitely that too. Like, you know, some of the places that these shows investigate are like closed to the public, or they're really, really old. And so, like, from like a travel show, because a lot of these are on the Travel Channel, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Even History Channel.
Or the History Channel, you know. So,
Right.
like, from that regard, there's also some fascinating real world stories connected. And so I do like when they present the real narrative and then get into the theories of, you know, the hauntings and stuff, like BuzzFeed, you know. Ryan does a lot of research about the location, and there's cool pictures, and they go there, and then they bring in like, and people say this, and this is what we don't know is true or not.
For sure. I do definitely prefer the ghost shows that are like, here's the history of the place that we're going, here's what people claim, and now we're going to go there too, and see what happens. I'm not nearly so much of a fan of the ones that are people sitting and giving interviews and there's reenactments. I don't know, it's entertaining in a different way, but I don't find it like quite as fun. I can like sort of like let my attention wander when I'm watching those shows and then snap back to it and be like, oh, there's a really poor reenactment going on. That's pretty funny. But I feel like with the ones where they're actually like investigating in a place, I'm more want to focus on what they're actually doing.
For sure. And like
I don't listen to the people that give the interviews. I don't know.
Yeah. As far as Ghost Adventures is concerned, because I think that's probably one of the more popular ones, and like I definitely love watching that show.
Me too.
The thing about it that I appreciate is, as goofy as it is and as easy as it is to laugh at them, the fact that they go into a lot of these places looking to see whether or not they're debunking or investigating. Like, I like that they will come out and tell you, like, they thought it was a ghost. It was just the air conditioner.
Right.
Or like when Zach brushes up against like a string from like a click light in the dark, and he thinks it's a spirit touching him, and he'll start screaming. And then they play back the footage, and it's just like wires or string hanging from the ceiling that he brushed against. Like,
at least they acknowledge those. They're not selling everything as evidence. Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely got to appreciate that. I think Ghost Hunters, which is an even older show, probably one of the first ones.
I watched that with my dad for sure. Yeah.
They did that a lot too. Like, they're very much like, we're very serious about like evidence contamination and like finding out, secondary sources of sounds and stuff to like make sure those are out of the way before we speculate it being like a ghost. And like,
for sure.
I feel like
Kinda
that
like
lends some more credibility. Right. Yeah. I definitely, and I think the locations too.
Absolutely.
It's got to be a cool place. Like, even if you're not in it for the history, you're not in it for anything, like investigating an asylum versus interviewing people who were like, I was in my bedroom and something touched my foot, and then there's a reenactment of a bed and a sheet, Just most of the interview and reenactment type ones are all in like neighborhoods, people's houses.
And like we were talking about how the show specifically Paranormal Survivor, that's kind of a weird
Paranormal Survivor.
Right, that one's a lot of houses.
Exactly, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
That's how I laugh now.
Like, Travis, do you remember the episode of Paranormal Survivor with the ghost car?
Yes. The guy was talking about what a cool car he had and how he was always picking up chicks in it. Like, oh my God. Literally, it's like they had the guy come on so he could talk about what a cool car he had and how often he got laid.
Yeah.
But like, sidebar, there may or may not have been a ghost in the engine. Like, who knows?
That would randomly turn on the car in the middle of the night and shine the headlights through the window.
Stephen King's Christine.
Oh, man.
It's already been done, my dude.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. Oh,
but then, like, the ones where it's like, this is an asylum from the 1800s, or like, this was a World War II hospital, like...
This was an Old West saloon.
Right. And those places in the dark are creepy and scary, even if there aren't ghosts.
Exactly.
Like, even if there is nothing supernatural going on, just that environment and like the heaviness of what was documented to have happened there in real life, is like, that's what's creepy to me. And then like anything else is like, all right, we can speculate about that all day.
I've got to say, that's one of the things about like 95% of ghost shows that I just can't buy into, is the fact that all of these investigations happen at night.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about cold spots happening at night? Drafts happen, but like if you're doing your investigation in the day when it's like 75, 80 degrees outside and you walk through a cold spot, like, that's going to be a lot more convincing. Right. There was one episode of Ghost Adventures we watched that was really freaky because they had like that circle of like children's toys. You remember that one, Aaron?
Yeah.
And the teddy bear like starts rocking, and then it very suddenly tips forward like someone pushed it.
Yeah.
That was really cool, but in the middle of the night. If it had happened in the daytime and this stuff was going on,
would have been even
nighttime
more freaky.
In general is a spooky time of the day.
Right, that's just it. At the end of the day, it's a TV show, so they're gonna pick nighttime for the spook factor and the night vision camera.
I think it's for the spook factor, and also generally during the night, there's less people around, less chance of
That's true.
Well, that's true. Most of these places are businesses
and things like that, so they have to have it like closed down, have a generally quiet atmosphere. And then also, it's a spooky.
Yeah. Right. They can't they can't do like the Winchester house in the middle of the day when there's all these guests and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, like, as I say that, I'm remembering, because it has been a while since I've watched any ghost shows. But Ghost Adventures actually does go in the daytime first, and then they have the lockdown at night.
Mm-hmm.
They do, yeah.
So
and every now and then stuff will happen during their interviews, but they usually don't get too into it until the evening.
Sometimes they'll like stop in the middle of an interview and do like a quick like EVP thing, just like during the daytime. And I kind of appreciate that. So they're getting to see it in the daytime, learn about it in the daytime, and then go back on their own at night when it's kind of just them. Yeah. And I think that's an interesting way to do the investigations.
Ooh, like maybe ghosts want to sleep at night.
Maybe
we don't know. We're not the ghosts. It can happen.
The ghosts are tired.
Well, especially since they're like possible. They're like, these ghosts are just doing like what they used to do in life. They're just like repeating these activities. I'm like, well, I sleep at night, so
I spend most of my life asleep.
Be a sleepy ghost.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the EVP, Sam, and that gets me to my next question. What is y'all's favorite, method of investigation? What do you...
What tools do we like when they try to find ghosts?
Yeah, two-part question. Which one do you lend, the most credence to? You're like, this one's the most, convincing credibility, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then which one is, your favorite, just because it's, cool or wacky or...
I'll go first.
Okay. I think I have I think I know what you're going to say. But...
Yeah, probably.
Go for it.
But, for the one that for credibility, quote unquote, I would probably say the ones that have sort of the dictionary loaded, the later versions of the Ovilus, where certain frequencies can trigger different words.
Right.
I find that really interesting, especially if they find words that are relevant to whatever it is that they're talking about.
With people's
the
names and stuff.
Yeah, with the serial killer woman in Sacramento, and Jay was doing the Ovilus session in the garden, and he kept getting words like plants, beneath, body, concrete, and they're like, oh wow.
And they're like, how many bodies are here? And they're like 15, things like that. I find that really interesting.
That's pretty good.
It's
not voices, but it's the words itself on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And I find that more compelling just because it is a proper word when you're listening to EVPs and they're like, to me it sounded like this, and I'm like, to me it sounded like bleh. And I don't and I don't care because that's too subjective. But when it's just a word on a screen, everyone sees the same word.
That's why they have the different class of EVPs, though.
This is true.
That's true.
Because some of them come through super obvious, you could not have heard anything else. It's very clear.
That's true.
But agreed, there are definitely some where it's that was not a word.
Right.
For sure.
And they're like, it said get out. And it's like, no, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
It's just,
and then and I'm like, I heard my name. But and then for my favorite method of ghost hunting that I don't think has any credibility, but I think is very fun to watch on Ghost Adventures, is when they have the Connect camera, or
oh my God,
that weird camera that they have that makes a little stick figure appear
and they are dancing around. Yeah,
they're always doing a little jig, and they're like, it's right next to you, Billy, and
Billy,
they're so afraid.
He's giving you a lap dance. Yeah,
it's over there. It's right behind your shoulder, and it's always doing a little dance, da 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 da.
Yeah, it looks like a little man.
I love that with all my heart.
Yeah.
So that is my favorite tool, is definitely the one where the stick figures dance next to them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if I were to believe anything, it would probably be the Ovilus.
For sure.
Who's next?
Go for it.
Aaron.
Oh, okay.
Aaron.
Well,
Aaron, go.
I guess for credibility, I like when they use just the straight up audio recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They've got their, H4 or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's what we use. But I know in Buzzfeed they have the H6, and Zach and Aaron on Ghost Adventures always have their little miniature ones. But they can do the live playback.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not reading frequencies. It's not triggered by movement or a radio. You don't need any of this fancy input. It's just taking background noise and then playing it back and picking out the sounds. And so, I think that's pretty convincing when you're watching it live. You know that after they ask the question, you can watch the silence. You're looking at the camera audio and there's nothing there. And then when they input it in the computer and they match up the audio and the timeline, and there's dialogue or noises from the recorder, I think that's more convincing, because they can say, look at the timestamp, look at the camera audio, there's nothing there. Look at the recorder audio, we've got something. Mm-hmm. I think that's most credible, because you can literally lay out the evidence on the computer and it's very visual, and then you can hear it. And sometimes you can make out the word, sometimes they're not. But I think the most fun to watch is the spirit box, just because it's so loud.
God, I hate it.
And it just screams words, and it's so loud they can't even hear the word being said over the sound of the machine itself, and it makes no sense.
Every time they do a spirits box session, it's what is your name? Like, as loud as they can, what is your name? And then it's like, and they're like, what? Like, it's a bad phone call.
I think it said Edward.
Right? Like,
it's just like a phone call with bad reception, but they're all yelling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hang on, let me get higher.
What?
Goes upstairs.
Yeah.
What, can you hear me now?
That's my favorite because it's just a mess. It's
especially
just a mess.
BuzzFeed. Oh
yeah,
my
Shane
goodness.
hates it so much, which makes sense. But like spirit boxes are cheap. Like if you're getting equipment, they're only like $60-$70, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like a lot of people go for those, whereas the Ovilus or even just like a standard audio recorder can be hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Or, you know, getting a full spectrum night vision camera can be a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I feel like people go with the Spirit Box, but I think it's just a piece of crap. It's just like a glorified speaker with white noise.
It's going through radio stations or radio frequencies, but sometimes there are things played on radio frequencies. Sometimes they encapsulate 3 frequencies in a row because they have a very strong connection. And so I don't put any, like, I don't know, I don't believe anything that comes out of the Spirit Box because you're just playing, it's like you're skipping through radio stations and you're hearing
Exactly.
If you hear a couple, like, a 2-word thing and it's like, oh, well, then you probably caught a little bit more of that station than you planned.
Right. And
I don't believe
it immediately jumps to the next one. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of my thought about the equipment. What do you think, Travis? What do you like?
I'm same as you, man. I like just having a simple audio recorder listening to whatever EVPs get picked up. I like the fact that they can play it back immediately, dissect what it is that they're hearing. And it's something that, I mean, you see professionals use it because it's functional, but even amateur Ghost Adventures can go out and do it. Like,
well, yeah,
like
anybody
when we went to the
use
Pointer Lighthouse, I recorded stuff on my phone. Yeah. Honestly, haven't listened to it yet, but still.
Yeah, you can take any kind of audio recorder or even your phone and just collect sound.
It's a tried and true method, and I feel like there's something bone chilling about asking, is there anybody out there? And then you listen to your recording and they're like, yeah. That just creeps me out. It's super spooky, okay?
That's very spooky.
I know. And when you're studying ghosts, it is the budget option. It is the spooky option. You know?
Yes.
I do know, in fact.
Yes.
I study ghosts.
As do I. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now.
Science.
And then Aaron in his normal ass voice.
Right.
Now, let's stop that.
Regardless, moving on. Regardless of the quality of the show or the quality of the equipment or the EVPs or whatever, how much do you just generally believe? Like when you sit down to watch a show, are you like, I'm ready for 45 minutes of pure bullshit entertainment? Or are you like, I wonder what they're gonna find today? And then you're like, fake, and then you're like, can't explain that one.
Like, that one's compelling.
That one's pretty good. You know,
it's
like
kind
how
all
speculative
of those at the
are you?
same time. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty open-minded person, so I'm always willing to watch and see what happens. But there's definitely episodes where I'm like, okay, these people are very clearly investigating a hoax. Like, this is a bunch of bull. But, you know, again, there's times in, like, Ghost Adventures with that stupid teddy bear where it's like, that's freaky and there's no logical explanation for that.
Right.
So, like, I don't know. I think that the things that I can't explain, probably a ghost.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Sam, I know.
Yeah, Aaron knows my feelings, and that is, like, on the spectrum of, like, believer to skeptic. I'm full-blown skeptic for all of it. I don't think I believe very much in ghosts. I find it very interesting to watch. I like hearing the history of these buildings. I wish I believed in ghosts. Because I find
shattered my whole world.
I'm sorry. I find it such an interesting concept, and I find the people that believe it very interesting, and what they say very interesting, and the buildings very interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't put any, like, truth behind any of that, if that makes any sense. I don't think I don't believe in the ghosts.
I think I'm probably somewhere a little bit in between. Like, I don't believe in ghosts in the sense of, like, that's the ghost of Stonewall Jackson. Like, you know.
Mint julep. Can you imagine Zach Bagans? Could this be the ghost of Stonewall Jackson?
I killed Travis.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Aaron!
But you know what I mean? Like, where it's just like this full figure floating there, like, can hold a conversation with you intelligently. Like, I'm not so much buying that.
You don't see, like, John C. Reilly at the end of a dark hallway?
No. In Civil War attire.
But man, I'm just here laughing like a freak in my pillow fort.
Right.
Good.
Alone in your apartment.
I have.
But that being said, like I buy more into the aspect of like a spirit being just like remnant energy, and energy, you know, the whole conservation of energy thing. Like when a person dies, their energy doesn't cease to exist with them. And so like the I don't know, like how some people describe it as like the imprint, you know, on this massive energy in this area. Like something happened here and the energy remains, or the whole like hole in the veil kind of a thing where like we're seeing or hearing something coming through from another time. That sort of thing, you know, when people say, like I can hear
space between dimensions.
Right, like this used to be a battlefield, and every now and then if you stand in this field, you can hear like the occasional cannon or like yelling man or something that's like unexplained. Like I'm more to buy into that than I am like this whole full figure thing. Like when people are like, you know, when Zach's like, Aaron, I just saw like an old man walk past that doorway. Conveniently, none of our cameras were rolling. You know,
you were all facing the other way, but I swear.
I think that's just the darkness playing tricks on people's mind. I think that's your brain. You know, you're hyped up, you're up late, you've got caffeine, you're expecting to see a ghost, so your brain shows you a ghost. Mm-hmm. But then the things like sounds or whispers or like the mists or just weird things that are unexplained, or like things being moved by an unseen force. I think that's more what I can get behind, as long as it's like not obviously debunked as like the air conditioner or an open window, you know, or a car going by because, you know, that the building is right next door to other properties that aren't like closed down for your investigation. I think sound contamination is always a big issue that
100%.
People don't really address very often. Especially at night. I mean, you can hear a train from like 30 miles away, but during the day you can't hear the train, you know? Mm-hmm. So like at night, sound carries. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I feel like I'm kind of in between you guys a little bit. More towards Travis's end.
Most people are.
Yeah, but, well, I mean, what it boils down to for me is like there's still so much that science simply cannot explain. There's so many theories that have yet to be disproven that like I can't say that anyone's wrong or right. I definitely have like that judgmental, like this person is crazy and they're making this up.
Right, you don't
occasionally
just blindly buy into every little thing.
But like for sure, like there's all kinds of theories for what the dimension between dimensions is. Maybe that's where the energy goes when a person passes on. In a way, it is interacting, kind of bleeding through. So like I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just don't know, but like I like to think that there's some mystery in the world, and if someone wants to try and prove it, then go for it, man.
Well, I think that's the allure. It's the mystery.
I love knowing that there's mystery in the world, and I love that there are people trying to get answers.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't have reason to believe.
And that's everything. That's like, you know, conspiracy theories or cold cases or ghost stories. Like it's just that. It's the thrill of not knowing, and just as a human being who just is inherently a creature that wants to like accumulate information, you know, having information that you literally just can't obtain is like both exciting and frustrating all at the same time for our brains.
For sure.
And when you put it in TV format, it's downright entertaining.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why we'll binge it.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. You can't just watch one episode of these shows.
Who watches one episode of Ghost Adventures and says, I'm done?
Exactly. Like, it's, I mean, I know
Travis?
a lot of shows are binge-worthy.
I've definitely done that since moving in on my own because I'm like, there's other ways I want to spend my time.
Well, that's fair.
I will say, like, if you're with other people, it kind of invites you to continue going. Like, when you're by yourself, life is weird when you're just by yourself all the time, guys. It's real weird.
That's fair.
I love being by myself.
But yeah.
Well, I'll come and watch more ghost shows with you sometime, Travis.
Right.
And then we can binge it in your blanket for it.
Well, and I know for like BuzzFeed Unsolved, they're like 20, 25 minutes long, and so it's like it's like watching like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something, like a sitcom where they're like 25-minute episodes. You're more inclined to just like blow through 5 or 6 of them.
For sure.
But Ghost Adventures is still like 45 minutes long. Like it's a full hour program.
Lose your evening watching.
And you can still just watch like 3 or 4. Now, lights on or lights off when you watch these
off,
shows. Yeah,
dude.
Lights off.
Exactly.
Like you and I, Aaron, we had plenty of days where it's like the middle of the day and we're like, "Yeah, you want to watch some Ghost Adventures?" And we'll watch it and it's completely light out. But there's something about these shows that demands the lights be off. Their lights are off. My lights are off.
Yeah. Right, they're in the darkness, and you feel a little bit more a part of it when you are also in the darkness. It's a little bit more like immersive, and it draws you into the entertainment further.
Right.
Like whenever I watch the Spider-Man movies, I'm wearing my Spider-Man suit. You know, when I'm watching Star Wars, I got my lightsaber in my hand.
Neat.
You want to feel part of what's going on.
I'm an adult.
When I watch Game of Thrones, I plot to murder the family down the street. It's pretty great.
Okay.
It really helps you like just immerse yourself.
I drink. And I know things.
I do one or the other generally, not both at the same time.
That's silly.
You're silly.
Also, if there's anywhere that's haunted, it's Westeros. They've killed so many
Oh
people.
my god, yeah.
Ghosts with swords.
Oh my god! Can you imagine like a spin-off show that's just like a paranormal investigation?
I thought you were gonna say, because she said just with swords, I thought you were gonna say a spin-off show where it's Game of Thrones but with like machine guns. I just pictured Daenerys coming down on a dragon with like AKs in each hand and just raining hell. You know?
Oh my gosh!
No, just like 2 guys who were just like, you know, trying to find the ghosts of like Robert Baratheon or whatever.
Yeah. Jeez.
Do you think dragons have ghosts?
Ooh.
Yes, of course, they are giant ghosts.
They are some giant ghosts.
A dragon is a giant creature, therefore the ghost is giant.
This is just science.
Yes, science. Also, spoilers, this was a Game of Thrones podcast the whole time.
That's a whole other podcast.
Right? We're like a week away. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. So,
let us know if you want.
Right, on that note. Right, do you want us to talk about Game of Thrones? Because we do. Do you watch ghost shows? Do you think they are total bullshit, or do you think they are documenting, like, the truth and sharing it with the world? Or is it like kind of 50-50, like how Travis and I feel like you gotta read into it? Or are you like Sam, where you're just like, I'm super skeptical, I'm not buying it, but like this is still a lot of fun?
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a lot of people like that too. So let us know in the comments. I don't know, any final thoughts, guys?
I hope that when I die, I come back as a ghost and they have somebody really, really ridiculously good looking play me in the reenactment.
Right? Just like, do you think that's part of like being on the show? Like that, you know, before the cameras are rolling, they go in with the EVP and they're just like, who do you want like us to cast as you? And they're just like,
Chris Pratt.
Right? Just like whispers, just like, oh, the spirit box said Chris Pratt, and they call him up, and he's like, no.
I'm busy.
So then they just get, like, Tony from down the street.
Oh, God. But Tony goes to the gym, so he's in all right shape.
Right. On that note, thank you for listening, guys, and until next time, stay nerdy.